Avery, and I'm an independent educational consultant. And what that means is I help students with the college and boarding school search and application process. Today, I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the college search and application process. And I'd like to share with you some thoughts that I've had about teenagers and identity exploration. In the college application process, some students for the first time are being asked about themselves, to talk about themselves, to talk about what makes them unique and different. And maybe this is perhaps the first time in a student's life that they're asked about themselves and asked to reflect on what makes them different and unique. So I'd like you to consider first, let's look at a video clip of The Matrix, where Neo, for the first time, Neo meets with the Oracle.
You know why Morpheus brought you to see me. So, what do you think? Do you think you are the one?
Honestly, I don't know.
You know what that means? It's Latin. It means know thyself.
In their conversation, the Oracle draws Neo's attention to the sign over the door. And what does the sign say? The sign is a Greek phrase that was made famous and attributed to many different Greek philosophers. But it is a very simple phrase, and it's gnothe seoton, which means know thyself, right? That's what the Oracle asked Neo. Does he know what the sign means? And in that conversation, Neo's been taken to the Oracle because he's trying to discern whether or not he is the one. So know thyself is a really important concept and phrase, a very simple one, but I'm going to ask you today to consider, why is it important to know thyself? Why is it important to know yourself? And how are some ways that you can get to know yourself better so that you'll present more effectively in your college applications? Let's look at a second video clip. The second video clip is of the recent remake of Alice in Wonderland.
Who are you?
Absalom?
You're not Absalom, I'm Absalom. The question is, who are you?
Alice.
We shall see.
What do you mean by that? I ought to know who I am.
Yes, you ought, stupid girl.
In Lewis Carroll's novel, Alice in Wonderland, when Alice goes to see the caterpillar, they have this very interesting conversation. And what does the caterpillar ask Alice? Who are you? And Alice is kind of taken aback because she has gone through so many adjustments and changes throughout the day since she went through the rabbit hole, right? So Alice is not quite sure, and she's trying to answer the question. She says she's Alice. But the caterpillar just keeps prompting her, who are you? And this is a question that I really want to get at. It's the same concept as the Matrix, this question of, who am I? What makes me myself? What makes me unique? What makes me special? I remember a student came into my office, and she knew that she was so rife with anxiety about the college admissions process. Would she get in? Would she be accepted? And she just said to me, I just want it all over with. I just want to have the sticker on the back of my car, which in and of itself is ludicrous and hilarious, because what I want to encourage you to think about is that the college application process can really be a self-exploration journey. You can really learn a lot about yourself in the process, and in fact, it's really important to do so. In the novel of Alice in Wonderland, and many scholars have debated and discussed this, they believe that Lewis Carroll was really writing about adolescence, writing about the changes that take place throughout your teenage lives. And Alice isn't really sure who she is because she's gone through so many changes throughout that novel. First of all, she's grown really tall, she was shrunk really small, she's all those physical changes and emotional changes and intellectual changes and adjustments that you've gone through as a teenager. That is all going through Alice's head when she's trying to respond to the caterpillar. Who are you? So I want you to take a few moments to think a little bit about the following questions. So going back to the phrase that was over the door in the oracle's apartment in the Matrix, know thyself, genothe seotan, know thyself, which was also allegedly in the temple at Delphi, the Greek state of Delphi. I want you to ask yourself these questions. In what ways is adolescence a time that fights being different? What messages in daily life tell us to conform? Why is it so important in the college process to know your strengths and be comfortable talking about yourself? I'd like to share with you 3 tips that I think will help you to explore and examine your uniqueness. The first tip is to explore. Now, I would normally say travel, but that's not possible for a lot of students. But many students that I work with will take a trip away from their home and away from their comfort zone, whether it's to a college campus during the summer to study or abroad for some service work, or even a service work opportunity somewhere close by, where your group of friends, your normal group of friends, you set aside for a little while to enable yourself to experience the vulnerability of moving outside of your comfort zone. Tip number 2 is to journal. And I'm sure every boy who's watching this is rolling his eyes like, oh great, journaling. But journaling is a really interesting tool to help you to see patterns in your own thoughts and your own behaviors and allow you that deep self-reflection that will really make writing your college essays much easier. And my third tip, although it may seem a little counterintuitive to you, is to spend time alone. In our high school years, it's really important to take the time apart to reflect. And in order to have that time, we need to be apart also from all of our digital devices, the computer, our cell phones, etc. So be sure to take some time away and apart from all that stimuli to spend some time getting to know what makes you happy, what makes you passionate, what makes you so angry, what gets you excited. And that will help to lead to a better understanding of what you might want to do in college and after. I think back to when I was a teenager, and I remember walking through town and being with maybe 2 or 3 friends. And if you really looked at me, we would probably be wearing the same clothes, the same jeans, the same shoes, kind of the same type of style, just in different colors. And similarity is very comforting. In fact, it's very affirming. It's saying to us, wow, I've made a decision, I've made a choice, and somebody is immediately affirming that because they've chosen the same thing. And I know that we all gravitate towards those things that are comforting. But in the college admissions process, conformity and similarity can be bland, and it can be construed as boring and a little bit homogeneous and pedestrian. So what I'd like to encourage you to do throughout the process and throughout the identity exploration process is to think about what makes you unique. What are your unique gifts and talents? Why were you placed on this earth? What makes you distinct and different from the sea of applicants who are applying to college in the same year that you're applying? And I don't want you to be afraid to be yourself and to be different and to celebrate the things that make you who you are. Because that's what colleges want to see. They want to gather a whole bunch of really interesting, amazing people together on their campus and then see what happens, see who gets involved with what. They want to know that they're bringing people with gifts to their campus. So I'd like you to think about what your unique gifts and skills are and then try to communicate them through the college application process. For further resources on the college or boarding school search and application process, visit my website at www.averyeducation.com.